It's about long well, sure.
Oh yeah. What is the percentage? So she gave it a
Good morning, and welcome to the Vashon Island Unitarian Universalists. My name is Marilee Runyon. I use she, her pronouns, and I will be your service leader today. If you are visiting, please participate as you feel comfortable. You're invited to stay and join us in conversation and snacks following the service. Our congregation is committed to individual freedom of belief, welcomes diversity, seeks to promote a sense of community, and fosters religion which enriches the spirit. Our community is strengthened and enriched by weaving together the volunteer contributions of members and friends. We are supported and guided by our minister, Reverend Victoria Pulling. As we begin our service, please take a couple of breaths to become fully present. Relax and bring your attention into this moment of communal reflection and sharing. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional homelands of the Swabash Coast Salish Native people. The Puyallup people have lived on and stewarded these lands since the beginning of time and continue to do so today. We recognize this land acknowledgement is one small step toward true allyship, and we commit to uplifting the voices, experiences, and histories of the Indigenous people of this land and beyond. We honor the interdependent web of all existence. We covenant to cherish the earth and all beings by creating and nurturing relationships of care and respect. With humility and reverence, we acknowledge our place in the great web of life, and we work to repair harm and damaged relationships. I'd like to invite our chalice lighter, Matt Berkson, to come forward.
Good morning. Let us light our chalices together in person and online with these words. To renew the spark of imagination by Reverend Michelle Collins. Here we are together, bearers of imagination, creators of new worlds. It is our imagination that lifts us beyond despair, that whispers, what if? And dares us to answer. Today, we gather to renew that spark, to embrace the power of dream, and come, let us imagine boldly and worship together.
Our opening words this morning are a prayer for all who mother in honor of Mother's Day. This is by Reverend Victoria Weinstein. We reflect in thanksgiving this day for all those whose lives have nurtured ours. The life-giving ones who heal with their presence, who listen in sympathy, who give wise advice, but only when asked for it. We are grateful for those who have mothered us, who have held us gently in times of sorrow, who have celebrated with us our triumphs, no matter how small, who noticed when we changed and grew, who praised us for taking risks, who took genuine pride in our success, and who expressed genuine compassion when we did not succeed. On this day that honors mothers, let us honor all people who parent, men, women, non-gender binary alike, who from somewhere in their being have freely and wholeheartedly given life and sustenance and vision to us. Dear God, great parent of us all, grant us life-giving ways, strength for birthing, and a nurturing spirit, that we may take attentive care of our world, our communities, and those precious beings entrusted to us by biology, or by destiny, or by friendship, fellowship, or fate. Give us the heart of a mother today. Amen. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing a hymn about a better world. Our theme is imagination. And this one comes from the Jewish tradition. It's called Soon the Day Will Arrive. The words were written by Ehud Manor with music by Nurit Hirsch. Our music will be recorded today, and we'll be singing along with the First Unitarian Church of Baltimore. This is hymn number 146, Soon the Day Will Arrive. And no longer will we live in fear, and the children will smile without on. Some have dreams, some night to make tomorrow, and our vision remains in our hearts. Now the torch must be passed with new hope and sorrow, and a promise to make one more time. To make up tomorrow and our vision. Second verse. Now the torch must be passed with new one. Thank you, everyone.
Our first reading is by 20th century Protestant theologian Walter Brueggemann, who believed that the church should provide a counter narrative to the dominant forces of consumerism, militarism, and nationalism. The task of prophetic ministry is to nurture, nourish, and evoke a consciousness and perception alternative to the consciousness and perception of the dominant culture around us. Our culture is competent to implement almost anything and to imagine almost nothing, because imagination is a danger. Thus, every totalitarian regime is frightened of the artist. It is the vocation of the prophet to keep alive the ministry of imagination, to keep on conjuring and proposing futures alternative to the single one the king wants to urge as the only thinkable one. Yeah, wow. Our second reading is by contemporary best-selling author, editor, activist, and ritual singer-songwriter Adrienne Marie Brown, whose work is deeply influenced by science fiction writers Octavia Butler and Ursula Le Guin. Science fiction is simply a way to practice the future together. I suspect that is what many of you are up to, practicing futures together, practicing justice together, living into new stories. It is our right and responsibility to create a new world. What we pay attention to grows. So I'm thinking about how we grow what we are all imagining and creating into something large enough and solid enough that it becomes a tipping point.
I'd like to invite special guest musician Gary Culp to play us a musical interlude. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Gary. That was lovely. That's hymn number 1068, Raising Green. This month's theme is imagination, living love through the practice of imagination. And last month, I read to you from a beautiful piece of imagination. That's Toni Morrison's novel, Beloved, which was set in the years after the Emancipation Proclamation. I read the vision she shared of a church outdoors where people of all ages, people who were Black, were getting to gather to laugh and cry and dance and know themselves beloved, to know themselves loved and free. And in her novel, this main character, Baby Suggs, who leads this community, she tells her people, the only grace you can have is the grace you can imagine. If you can't see it, you will not have it. So Toni Morrison in her book Beloved offered a vision of grace for her readers, for her time, a place of sanctuary, a place to laugh and cry, to be a beloved community. There are many today who need this act of grace and an image of beloved community more than ever. We here need to imagine grace so that our world and our community can have it. A grace where people of all races and ages, sexual orientations and genders and ethnicities, and every other attribute you can think of can have a place to relate to one another and to learn to be together. Sometimes I hear people say, how can we do this? We don't have very many people here who have fill in the blank demographic. But that's not the point. The point is, can you imagine it? Can you imagine a diverse, multicultural, beloved community? If you can see it, you can have it. In times like the ones we are in, I sometimes feel a yearning for something larger than humanity that might take us by the hand and guide us to where we need to go, saying, this is how you do it. This is how you build a beloved community. This is what it looks like. And I sometimes wonder how to listen to natural laws of ecosystems that might show us how to work together to transform the uses of power by this culture so that we might come into alignment with that interdependent web. I even sometimes yearn, I'll admit, for a superpower that acts to swiftly correct overreaches and misuses of human power, to correct corruption and favoritism and authoritarianism. Sometimes I do wish for a swiftly acting God who would intervene and put a stop to things. But that's not how my theology works, and I suspect it's probably not how yours works either. Because that way lie the things that I also resist. Authoritarianism, patriarchy, settler colonial values that persist, insisting that land and people and other beings are merely resources for the taking. My theology proposes a different kind of God, a life energy, a natural law, and a mystery that is present in all things, at all times, through a web of relatedness. This is not a mystery that punishes enemies or offers to help me personally win against people who I might be approaching as my enemies. This is a life energy that seeks to move through acts of love and through acts of imagination. A life energy that can use whoever is here, whatever is at hand, to create beloved community everywhere, all at once. Because I believe that it's not just people who don't want to be alone. I believe that this presence that I do call God or mystery wants to be with people. Linda Hogan, who's a Pulitzer-nominated poet and writer of the Chickasaw Nation, wrote an achingly beautiful, painful, and determined story of people in her heritage responding to destructive engineering of the Boundary Lakes. The book is called Solar Storms, and I'd like to share her vision of God, which resonates with me. People say that in the beginning was the Word, but they have forgotten the loneliness of God, the yearning for something that shaped itself into words. Let there be. Out of that loneliness, light was conceived. Water opened across a new world, and people rose up from the clay. There were dreams of plants and deer. This image of a lonely God makes my heart ache. And it makes me want to love that God and celebrate that such a God would dream up a world out of this yearning for togetherness, for closeness with beings who are alive. What an act of imagination. And whether or not you use this word, God, I wonder, could you relate to the sense that something wants to be together with you too? That even as you yearn for love and connection with the interdependent web of life, that this web of life is also yearning for you? Could it be that the grace you use can imagine is a world interdependent, where the mystery of life is in the power of creation all around us? A world where we really can and do shape change, even as we resist or at times need to become fugitive, running and hiding vulnerable others from systems that oppress. A world where we are just one kind of beloved community that celebrates and delights in other kinds of beloved communities around us. I'd like to share a story of another kind of beloved community that I experienced last week. I attended an improv comedy show. It was called Joy Market, and it was created by actors who are all of Asian and Pacific Islander heritages and cultures. They showcased each other's talents, giving the stage to a singer whose family is from the Philippines and to a dancer with heritage from India between the comedy sets. So the setup for the comedy is that guests were invited to celebrate a recent moment of joy by writing it down on a card, putting it in a red envelope, and putting it in a wok. And during the show, the master of ceremonies would draw a card out of the wok and read it out loud, and then the troupe would create a comedy around it. So maybe you can guess where this is going, because I'm a Unitarian Universalist and I love joys and concerns. And I thought, great, I'm going to write down my joy on my card and I'll put it in the wok. Well, my joy got pulled. And my story was read aloud. And I had an uncomfortable moment when I realized what's happening is that in this Asian Pacific Islander comedy show, this team that is sharing their stories and their voices to be heard by an audience is now going to be sharing a story of a white and Hispanic woman. I kind of wished I hadn't submitted my joy. I felt a little bit of white guilt in adding my story to the space, meant to celebrate other heritages. What I didn't expect is how the actors would transform my story to make it their own, to subvert it, and find all kinds of ways to lighten it up and laugh about it. Are you wondering what my joy was? So my joy was about organizing a dance party for all ages and bodies at my other church. And if you're now just having a moment of jealousy, don't worry, we can organize a dance party here too. Just let me know if you want one. So of course I got asked where this party happened and how it came about, and then I was in the hot seat. So I had to be honest. I said, well, I'm a minister at a liberal church where people are struggling with this political climate and we needed some joy. So I organized a dance party. You could have heard a pin drop. In one sentence, I had violated two important social taboos. You don't talk about religion and you don't talk about politics in public. So then the MC asked, okay, how did you become a minister? Oh God, I thought, how do I sum up my journey in 2 to 3 sentences? It's as complicated as yours, and you know how long it takes to tell your story, right? Of how you became a UU. So I said the funniest thing that came to mind. Well, I started out as a scientist, which I figure is the usual way that these things happen. Feeling the silence around me, I was sweating as I elaborated. I used to work in environmental conservation, and I started wondering what it would take to change how my culture relates to our environment. I thought it might have more to do with what we believe than what we think. And there it was, my own tender science fiction dream. To discover what helps people of the dominant European American, Western, settler colonial culture change not just our minds, but systems, to find ways to live differently, to create not just a beloved community for people, but to imagine a world where this culture is transformed into one that is more life-giving for people and for other than human beings. I'm not sure that's the stuff of comedy, right? But this team did a great job of pulling funny things out of my story. They did a skit about career changers who throw parties. There was a skit about a shepherd protecting their sheep from political wolves. There was a debate where people competed for the best argument for something they all agreed on, which is why joy is important. So my little UU world got unpacked through the lens of people whose worlds are shaped within cultures, who have experienced religious colonization, have experienced globalization of US culture, by some who came to the US to leave religion behind and work in the tech industry, by some who maybe couldn't even imagine that a religion could be a source of multicultural, beloved community. I realized in that moment I was witnessing the strength of prophetic imagination that Walter Brueggemann speaks of, where dominant culture can be transformed by artists who keep on conjuring and proposing futures alternative to the single one the king wants to urge as the only unthinkable one. And that alternative future that I came to see better was that there are many kinds of beloved communities, and they are happening everywhere all at once. This was really helpful for me personally because this dream of beloved community has often felt like a science fiction, possible to imagine, yet like a world far, far away in another galaxy that we travel towards on a little ship that we call our congregation in order to learn about ourselves on the journey and to work together as a team, to show up with reverence for the interdependent web of life, and yet also hopefully with a little bit of irreverence so we don't take ourselves too seriously. So when I read that quote by Adrienne Marie Brown, whose work is influenced by science fiction writers, I love that idea that science fiction is how we practice the future, by telling a story in the present. So here's my science fiction story about how our church can practice the future. I believe that we can practice creating a sacred space where we can discover who we are becoming in an ongoing way in relation with the interdependent web. That we can practice an imaginative space of grace where we can stretch in dimensions that allure us and open up to creative risks. For some of us, we need to practice speaking and singing freely because we discover best what we think and feel by speaking and expressing ourselves out loud. For some of us, we practice gardening, where we can cultivate beauty that flowers over time and attend to the cycles of life and death away from the digital march of change. For some, we practice moving our bodies to dance, to feel, to touch others with consent, and to love the body that we have, away from a judging gaze of a culture that seeks to control bodies for its uses. For some of us, we practice fighting for justice, to be warriors in an epic battle where we learn to recognize and name and learn skills to defeat oppressions that bind and win liberation for ourselves and others. One mistake we might make in a church is in assuming that our sacred space and our deepest need for imagination is the same as someone else's, or that others ought to need what we need. And that is why it's so important that we get to know each other, to build trust, so that our relationships will guide us in learning how to respect the needs of one another, to listen if someone says we've transgressed their boundaries, to reduce suffering by coming alongside sorrow and pain with compassion and empathy and love. Because when we do this here, when we trust this is happening in other beloved communities, we can sense ourselves connected to a community of communities throughout this country that are not just fighting and resisting, they're imagining and acting with love. And that's what we all need a little more of right now. So let's practice this beautiful science fiction as a way of practicing the future in this multi-faith, multicultural tradition where there are many paths to live love through the practice of imagination. May we be kind and prophetic on this path that we share in the time that we share it. Amen. Let's hold a moment of silent contemplation to consider what this might have sparked for us. Please rise in body or spirit to sing hymn number 23, Spirit of Life. will be accompanied by The Vibes, which is a gender inclusive a cappella group from George Washington University who sang a UU hymn during the pandemic. And this video starts with humming the whole tune, so feel free to listen first or hum along as you wish. This is 123, Spirit of Life. Okay. Different video. I don't have the words, but we could try it. Okay. Go ahead. Speak. Come unto me. Sing in my heart. All the stirrings. If the to Today, we have an exciting opportunity, and that is to welcome new members into this congregation. This annual ceremony is an important and joyful tradition in the life of Vashon Island UU. As Reverend Victoria Weinstein reflects, Unitarian Universalists have gathered for centuries, seeking a higher purpose and deeper life than we can find alone. We are grateful to you, our new members, that you have found your way here and that you've decided to make a commitment to this faith community. We hope that as a member of VIUU, you will allow yourselves to know and be known, to minister to and be ministered to love and to be loved by this congregation. We never really know what combination of fate and friendship or good luck it is that brings certain people together in this world for any purpose. So we believe that membership calls us to celebrate being drawn together and to regard each person a spiritual friend and potential teacher, even of occasional hard lessons. The relationships we form in our congregation are based on the needs of the soul that render each of us vulnerable and reliant on each other's grace, goodness, and generosity of spirit. As members of VIUU, we pledge to be guardians of each other's spirits, to respect the ultimate privacy of each person's struggle, and to affirm each other's inherent dignity. And we rely on the wisdom of our covenant to remind us of our true purpose in being together. So new members, I'd like to invite you to rise and come forward as you're willing and able. And I'd also like to invite our board presidents, Kim Kambach, to come forward to welcome you as new members, and George Butler and Kate O'Hare as well. It's okay to come a little closer. All right. So you do have a line. It's very easy. Your line is "we will." New members, you have chosen to make a commitment to this congregation. Will you offer us your presence and gifts as we seek to create a community and a world dedicated to love and justice? Congregation, will you welcome these new members with the warmth and comfort of your companionship and add your strengths and talents to the new gifts they bring us? Will you share our triumphs and struggles as our community grows and changes? New members, will you accept these gifts of fellowship, discovery, and service? Wonderful. I want to note that we have additional members who couldn't be here today, and Kim will be sharing their names with you.
As president of our board of directors, I'm grateful to welcome you on behalf of our congregation. I will now invite you each to come to the pulpit to sign our membership book. The membership book is a treasured symbol of our freely chosen faith. It holds the memory of each person who has come into our congregation and said yes to linking arms with us and learning together. Come forward and please sign. I don't think we're making him put down his email, but I'll check. Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, you come on this side now. It's like the bluebird fly up. We'll give them when they all sign in. Mark, I don't know how to say your last name. Can it? Thank you. And Jean has a fabulous last name.
Ooh, chicken. Berolsheimer.
Simer. Excellent. And Jerry Wesh. Our members who were, our new members who weren't able to be here today are Tish Cannett, Bill Nauer, Burdette Rooney, John Stott, Sue Letzinger, and that's it. So let's welcome.
Kathy Miller. Kathy Miller.
Oh, she's not on there.
Our new members have received 2 gifts as a sign of our welcome and appreciation. One is a copy of the Unitarian Universalist Pocket Guide, edited by Reverend Susan Frederick Gray for your learning and enjoyment. And another is a beautiful chalice made by our very own Sylvia Paza. So please enjoy. And if you want one, I believe she sells these as well. Okay, so one more all together. All together as one congregation, let's affirm our covenants, the promise that we renew each week, which holds our community together with common purpose and common love. And this is a repeat after me. We, the members of Vashon Island Unitarian Universalists, commits to individual freedom of belief, welcome diversity, promote a sense of community, and foster religion, which enriches the spirit. We strive to build healthy relationships as a spiritual practice. And we intend our promises to foster trust. This covenant is meant to create a sanctuary for all.
It's safe for all.
Thank you, everyone, and welcome to our new members. So in this time when we welcome our new members, we also get to offer some special recognition to longtime members. So we're bookending our ceremony today. So I have 2 additional special recognitions, 3 actually. And the first is I'd like to invite Judy Whitney to rise. And we are recognizing Judy today as our VIUU historian for the coming year. And Judy will be ably assisted by Donna Klemka in updating our history and gathering stories because she is one of our current story keepers and we want to be able to pass those on. So thank you, Judy. And then our next special recognition goes to Margaret and Melvin Mackey for, yes. So I'm going to invite Margaret and Melvin to come forward because these 2 have a lifetime, or actually you can just stand. That's great. Yes. To be recognized for your lifetime of contributions here. Margaret, as many of you know, was our grocery guru for many years and our RE, Time for All Ages story reader. And Melvin has had many roles: treasurer, vice president, president, chair of the RE committee, currently on finance, social justice, many hats. And so I would like to, yes, thank you. So I'm going to invite Melvin to say a few words, and then I will actually pass the mic if any of you have stories that you would like to share of serving with Margaret and Melvin.
Thank you. Margaret and I were married in 1961, so we've been married for 65 years. And we also became Unitarians in 1961, so we've been Unitarians for 65 years. We've been members of 4 different churches, and it's always been a growing experience. And to the new members and other people who are not really, or just checking us out and that so forth, I highly recommend that you step in and start doing things, even if it seems kind of scary. Because as you start to do things and take on some uh, opportunities, it's a good growing experience. I started out as a very much of an introvert, and I'm still kind of like that, but through the years you learn a lot, and you learn by taking on responsibilities, and just step in and you can do it.
Thank you, Melvin.
I want to say that it's been 10 years since we've been here. And one of the first things we did, because we were Unitarians already, we saw a sign that said, oh, Unitarian Fellowship or something like that. And so we came to church and we didn't know a soul on the island. We didn't know anybody, but we came in and had a nice service. And at the end of the service, Melvin came up to us and he said, we were hoping to move here, but we hadn't found a house yet and all this kind of stuff. And he said, I just want to give you my phone number. And he said, if you don't have any place to stay when you are trying to pick out your house, you can come and stay with us. And we said, we don't even know you and you don't know us. Is that okay? They said, is it okay with your wife? And he said, oh, it'll be fine with her. And he wrote down his phone number. And sure enough, when we came to try to look for our house and everything, we ended up staying with them. And it wasn't just, was it 2 nights? Because it took longer than we thought to get all the arrangements and finances done. So they were the first people that we met and that were so welcoming. We thought, oh, this, because we didn't know anybody. And we thought, oh, this is a great place to live.
Sitting around Melvin and Margaret's dining table with about 12 of us, filling up bags with toothpaste and razors and soap and what all sanitary needs, which Margaret organized. And for some months, we were able to provide for the Interfaith Council. And that was a lot of fun. Thank you. And going to the Northwest Detention Center for years. And providing comfort and support to families.
I first met Margaret at Granny's Attic. You all know I talk about Granny's Attic a lot, but she was one of the grannies who was there before me, and I've been there 21 years. Margaret was hardworking, joyful, kind, generous, and tough. You knew when Margaret said she was going to do something, it happened. I love you both so much. And then coming here and finding you were the guru, I just knew, we just knew that was the right place. And Melvin and Ted, Melvin nurtured Ted in our first days here. And every Saturday, Alex and Melvin and can't remember who else, lots of people, Anne, George, would go to the detention center in Tacoma. And every Saturday, Ted would be at the corner of Burton's store and they would pick him up and they'd go over there. And they just so much, the social service aspect of this, you guys are the model. I mean, it's just so wonderful. And I'm so glad you could join us today for this specialness. Thank you, Margaret. And they always brought us pears and apples too. She has the best pears.
I think we've got 2 more.
Years ago, I was part of a group building your own. We called it ourselves BYOBS because we kind of liked that, building your own belief system. And Melvin was part of that group, and Margaret. And we hosted each other every month, the different host. And Margaret hosted us on Melvin's months when we met at your house, and so much gratitude. And Melvin, it was so rich what you added because you had this a very factual scientific mind. No, that was really different sometimes in perspective. It was so rich to be part of that discussion. And Margaret is also remembered for all those thank you notes and expressions of gratitude and good wishes that she would send members. She was a kind of like an independent secretary. And that was a really important role in our church that isn't held by anybody right now. So thank you both.
I just want to personally say thank you for all the years of doing the receipts because I'm doing them now and I've got 2 other people helping me. So we trade off and it's a huge job. So thank you for doing that for so long.
All right, last one.
I just wanted to say that Margaret is an amazing storyteller, and I'll never forget the Easter Bunny story.
All right. So Marga and Melvin are here today. So if you have more stories to share during coffee hour, you are welcome to share them. What? Oh. Yes, and they are also receiving a gift of a chalice. And we will now pause the recording as we prepare our hearts.
I light this candle for unspoken joys and concerns within our hearts and beyond this community. Please join us if you feel comfortable in singing There Is a Love. We will now resume recording as we finish the service. As members and friends of the Vashon Island Unitarian Universalists, we commit to supporting our congregation. Financial resources help us pay speakers and staff, support our social justice programs, and maintain our building. Please support VIUU with your pledges and offerings so that we can continue to be a vital community. Our congregation engages beyond our walls for peace, social and economic justice, freedom of belief, and protection of our planet and its inhabitants. Once a month, we contribute the financial offering to a regional, national, or international organization that aligns with our values. This week's offering supports our beloved community. Our greeters are passing around the offering baskets. As we receive our offering, please join in singing, We Give Thanks. We give thanks for the special day of gathering here in this world. The time we share is love and care. We give thanks for this precious day.
Our closing words are another dream, another imagining of another beloved community. This is shared by Reverend Lucy Bunch. In the closing of his book, The Moral Imagination, Paul Lederach imagines a world where all leaders at all levels are required to attend continuing education at the School for Moral Imagination. He proposes starting with just a week, and participants would be required to simply talk openly and honestly with each other about their hopes and fears. Every day, they'd hear a presentation from someone who had overcome huge challenges: refugees, survivors of abuse, folks who lived with oppression at every step, At least part of the day, participants would do art, listen to music, write, or pursue other creative endeavors. And at the end of the week, they would plant a garden.
Um, we extinguish our chalices with these words by Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry. Live long and prosper, everybody. It isn't all over. Everything has not been invented. The human adventure is just beginning.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Victoria, for your powerful words and your love. Matt Berkson for our chalice readings, Dennis Lambert and Catherine Sullivan for our tech support, and Hospitality Team 2 for participating and making our in today's service here at Lewis Hall and online. Please join us for refreshments following our VIUU events announcements. If you have an announcement to share related to a VIUU activity, please come up and form a line along the side of the sanctuary.
Okay, it's just me bugging you one more time for your receipts. Because we're done in May for collecting them, and then if we want to get credit in July, I think it's July, we need to have them turned in so we can tally. So bring your receipts. Don't forget your name and your phone number, and then your initials on any following pages. It's the groceries receipts. All of your receipts. $3.
I'm Jean Berelsheimer. My pronouns are she, her. And so I wanted to say a little bit about the grief retreat, which is happening Friday and Saturday. And if you're just hearing about it now for the first time, it's not too late to sign up. We're going to create a sacred space and welcome our grief. It could be personal grief. It could be planetary grief. It could be grief for the state of the world right now, whatever. And we are going to share it in community. And there will be joy too, and movement and poetry and beauty. So the sign up thing is over on that table. And if I don't have your email address and you're on the list, I'm going to come around and see if I can get it. So please join us.
Can the members of the retreat planning committee just come up and join me for a second? And Tish is not here. And Roxy, aren't you part of that? You already signed up. You can't get out now. Okay. So August 16th through the 18th is the annual retreat at CBEC. And it's a very fun time. I'm going to ask Anne, who's been there many years, in a second to just say a little bit about it subjectively. But I really hope people will come. It just occurred to me that we could have the theme be imagination, which would really be fun, because I really want this time for us to have, lots of opportunities to connect. So there's a one-page sheet that I have here. I have 20 of them, and if you don't get one, let me know and I'll just email it to you. And we have signups there's actually 4 choices for where you can stay. And the pricing is all on here, but it's complicated. So I'm just going to hang out back there. And if anybody has a question, I'll help explain. Basically, all we need today or before June 7th is your reservation, like how many people are coming and which place you'd like to stay, and $100 deposit per person. So we have a great team, and Anne's going to just say a little bit.
I'm just going to say, you look around and you think, really, a weekend with all these folks? I don't know. But I have to tell you that it's wonderful. And if you've ever thought about those days when you went to summer camp as a kid, it's kind of like that, but maybe more fun. So I hope that you'll all enjoy coming. But what I wanted to add particularly is one of the gifts of our beloved community is that we all have gifts. And we kind of entertain and treat and instruct and share each other. And so we're hoping that since every person here, and I know most of you, has a skill that you could share, I hope you'll think about doing a workshop, because whether it's making Swedish hearts or making stupid sock dolls or telling a story or doing nature prints, I know everyone here can do something. So I hope you'll think about what workshop you might be willing to offer. Oh, I think there's a discount too if you're doing it. There's a discount.
Yeah. All right.
Please sign Roxy up for sewing, knitting.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah. And there are subsidies available. We don't want anybody to not come because they can't afford it. So, if you want to contact me or one of the other members, if you really want to come, but would like a little assistance.
What's the date?
August 16th through the 18th. Friday, it starts at check-ins at 4 and people usually go home after lunch on Sunday. And Reverend Victoria will be joining us and she will be doing our Sunday service.
So if you notice, some of the chairs have yellow tape on them, and those are chairs that you can take with you today, put in the back of your car, and then put them by the side of the road anywhere here on Vashon. And if you rode your bike and you don't have space to do that, we would like after this service for you to help us get the chairs back to the back classroom, and if they're plastic, to get them outside, because we have new chairs that will come this week, new to us chairs. And so I need to talk to 2 persons who have pickup trucks, and we can coordinate when to get them out of the shed at my house. Yes, Cynthia. Yeah, that's a good point. If they say VIUU or VIUF on them, don't leave them by the side of the road. Oh, okay. Add that and scratch out. Second thing is our annual meeting is next week. Hope you can all be here. Third thing that's really important is if you look over there, you see how much that green stock has gone up to nearly the tippy top. You guys have done wonderfully. We're at 86,000, I think. 81,000. I can't read Kirk's handwriting. But the thing that I want to just share my gratitude with you about is we put together that community fund, $6,500. And then once a month, our social justice committee has worked to find folks to be speakers, and then that we donated to. And we're at about $5,500 that's gone out into the community through just your plate, what we picked up on those Sundays out of the offering. And so we're nearly at $12,000, that we've given out beyond our walls. And that just warms my heart. Thank you.
June 5th has been added to the circle dinner list. If you're interested, add your name, number of people you'd be bringing, and your email address and any special dish that you are just dying to share. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your announcements. There's another one. Sorry, Kirk.
Yeah. The numbers guy. Anyway, yeah, thank you very much. We are standing at 81,000. We had a goal of 90 2,088. So we're going to have to look at, that's what comes in. There are a couple of pledges that we want to check with, but we're going to have to make cuts to balance it. So, yeah, we're going to have to focus on that. We got to get them in, but I want to thank everyone who has pledged so far. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
You're a wonderful treasure. We sure appreciate it.
Thank you. I was going to say the same thing. I think being treasurer isn't always that fun. So thank you, Kirk. Sorry, I moved